Hey, Mcluvin News. Yes, I'm still up. You want to know why I'm still up? My spirit's aflame for the kids. That's right. I can't hardly sleep these days. And it's been going on and building and building and building. And now that Trump is officially going to be the next president-elect after everything he's been through, well, congratulations for him. Congratulations on his cabinet. Congratulations on all the Americans who voted for him. For all those who are crying about this, I wanted to just disclose something. We need to stop with the whole extremism, the liberal hate, the liberal messaging. It's always liberal, 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 liberal. Oh my gosh, you say it enough times and it's like, dude, that's all the Republican Party, MAGA, of those who are pushing that message out of MAGA, and the rest of the political side of Republicans and those people in our country right now that are proving how divided we really are. We literally have marginalized the entire liberal side. And liberals, you gotta remember something. You guys pretty much brought that on yourselves when you didn't fight in a peaceful, loving, empathetic way. And if you did, congratulations. You still managed to get the Republican side and everybody else, for the majority, against the core value. The attack is on liberals. It is on the fundamentals of children's futures based on the merits that now the Republican side of those who are with MAGA and those who are with Donald Trump solemnly and 100% believe that liberals are the threat to the rest of America. And that we need to root them out, root and stem, go in and replace the government and have a completely troll to lump in all of Trump and all of his cabinet. I said lump. Apologies there, Trump. So we really need to focus on this because division is where those people who seek to spread this. And I've been making a very clear message that we need to stop division. And I'm not going to stop talking about this. And I think more people need to start sharing this and talking about this. Let's stop with the liberal, conservative, liberal. It is getting exhausting and tiring. It's not that liberals don't have their voice, conservatives don't have their voice, but it's always too much about liberals. It is a problem that the right and Trump and MAGA and those on that side have been pushing, and the extremist sides, even some of the Democrats, okay? I know I've just solely concentrated on just the Republicans and MAGA, but it is coming out of Trump's future candidacy and his president-elect choice of what he plans to do for Project 2025. Go to his website. Look it up. His website, as John Oliver in this episode of Season 11 of Episode 15, Trump's second term, Oliver, as I already suspected from taking a step back in time, had already disclosed the fact that the Trump presidency of Trump in his second term is very much of a reality. And there's so much hate and liberalism against that factor, and that of which can be spread by any of the parties. It's proof right there. The undoing of the parties is because of that. It's this extremism, the talk and the hate against fellow Americans, and the disrespect polarizing people against children, the fear of what children can grow to be, where their opportunities can be, worrying about pronouns, and all the fights that people seem to be taking against the liberal side focus groups of their concerns. It is a disgusting, dehumanizing, immoral manner. You know that you guys out there that don't know this, there's actually a woman who created a dating site for conservatives only, as if there's not enough conservatives and people are already ruining dating sites as they are. And John Oliver covered that in this one, apart from this little tidbit here. That woman's name in this tidbit, he actually covered it midway through his piece. The woman who is running this new dating site, apart from Trump's Project 2025, out to destroy certain government agencies that serve us good as Americans. And if you don't believe me, check out Project 2025. Project 2025, along with Schedule F, don't forget Schedule F. If you don't know what Schedule F is, it's kind of boring, but it's about basically replacing all those who are loyal under Trump, who advise Trump and tell him not to do things, and who can do things. It was shut down by Biden, and Trump plans to bring it back. He wants to also bring back an old policy called impoundment. One of his biggest presidential fanboys excited about impoundment, which goes back to the Nixon era, where the president has access to Congress funds of which he can use for his own means, that was banned and deemed illegal. Trump wants to bring back impoundment so he can have more money. And you remember how Trump held up Ukraine aid? Yeah, impoundment back then during Trump's presidency essentially stopped him from doing that, and he wants to have the power to do that. Now, the woman on the dating app who is trying to push this conservative thing, she created an app called The Right Stuff for conservatives only, that only which I can idolize Donald Trump and Trump cult type talk in that context for those who are on that extreme side. This woman, she created this back in 2022 called The Right Stuff. If you haven't heard about it, but it's a reality. And Project 2025 dates back all the way back to some of the oldest people that exist in our political history. And the right stuff, created by a woman who, quite frankly, is a blonde-haired woman with blue eyes, and it's just absolutely disgusting that the app has questions on it to pass. Like January 6th was, how do you respond to that? And how do you respond to that? I mean, I don't think January 6th is an insurrection. John Oliver jokes that it was a total turn-on. It's a funny take from this. But this woman is absolutely unbelievable. She's also gotten onto TikTok as well. So for you guys don't know that as well, it's important, critical. This is an exposure truth that you guys need to look in. I implore you guys to check this out. Check out Project 2025. Check out what it's going to impact and who's going to be affected by this, because they're going after immigrants on the border. They're going after basically trans people. They're going after LGBT people. That includes myself. And even if they don't know I exist, they're still going after people like me. But you know why they can't get me? Because I don't openly try to get all political with the whole fundamentals of my gender and my quality. I know I'm a male, but I'm also a furry. And what are they going to do about that? What are they going to do about that? Because I'm fighting for the kids, because the kids have the right to be themselves. There's nobody trying to outright in the LGBT community destroy children. If they are trying to destroy kids, they're going to get caught and they're going to get held responsible and accountable. And with Trump's Project 2025 term, I want to wake you guys up to a really disturbing reality I just learned about with the ideals that came from Project 2025. George Wallace, who supported Jim Crow laws, a Democrat, and is idolized by his being an independent party candidate. What a shame on this. This goes back to 1968. But yeah, George Corley Wallace Jr. Is the man who was the governor of Alabama, was a Democrat, and who he actually opposed desegregation and supported the policies of Jim Crow during the civil rights movement. Absolutely disgusting. And you know what he was behind? He was behind Project 2025. He's a mastermind behind it, even though he died and he's no longer alive. That's a reality check right there. And then Pat Buchanan, the really disturbing thing, he actually had a book that he wrote in 2011, which says, Suicide of a Superpower, Will America Survive 2025, 2011. And The Greatest Comeback, How Richard Nixon Rose from Defeat to Create the New Majority 2014. A lot of people make the reference that Donald Trump, along with that impound reference I made that was made illegal during Nixon's candidacy, because Nixon was a very corrupt president. He had the indecency to step down and concede defeat. And Donald Trump's essentially trying to bring back things from the Nixon era, things that were deemed against what was illegal, to keep a precedent in check so he would not misappropriate funds. Notice how I said miss? Like, you know, I use the reference he because it's like gender. No, this is about the president. And it's about holding somebody accountable. This is serious, guys. This is serious. Project 2025, we do need to take this seriously, very seriously. And Schedule F is about creating a complete loyalist group that will only be loyal to Trump, replacing well over 4,000 people that work in our government while dismantling important government agencies. Donald Trump wants to take down the Department of Justice, which we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. And if it does, he'll be able to ward himself from all political adversary crimes and investigations. He wants to dismantle the National Weather Service, which Mark Sudduth and others who rely on meteorologists, and so do we, he wants to dismantle that so we can't get our true information from credible government sources that actually give us credible alerts that can protect us from dangerous things like hurricanes and natural disasters. Trump wants to dismantle that. So what? We have to watch him do a Sharpie decoration? You remember when Trump did that? If you didn't remember that, look that up. Trump did a Sharpie of a hurricane and when it was going to hit Florida, and he drew his own black outline that showed how much further it was going to go. Project 2025 is not a joke, and the people behind Donald Trump's cabinet is not a joke. We need to take this seriously, guys. Get on board and follow with me. And please, if you don't watch John Oliver, get on board with him too. It's a credible episode. I implore you to check it out. Season 11, episode 15, which is called Trump's Second Term. Credible article, absolutely wonderful. And John Oliver did a really heartfelt thing in the end of it with his message to what I told you last time about his love for the cake bears in that Pennsylvania shop. That shop actually responded. He gave him the equipment because they followed his request and went above and beyond and created his own gigantic rear-ended shaped cake bear and even put his own face and created a full-blown illustration for it. It was heartwarming and heart-touching. But Project 25 is not a joke. John Oliver is a wonderful, credible source. I stand behind that, and I ask everybody to stay in tune and take this seriously, because even with Donald Trump taking into the election and the campaign and taking over, we got to make sure that our country, our America, is not sold out to these extremist groups and the right-wing groups. It's bad enough, it's hard enough to find a date in today's world, because everybody wants to show you how right-wing extreme they are or how left-wing extreme they are. It doesn't matter which side it is. It's proof that people are the ones behind this, people doing it, shame on them. It's about too much division in this country. Our children are getting sick and tired of this. Our people are getting sick and tired of this. And I'm an independent who shuns the very fact that the core truth of some of these Project 2025 was built by Pat Buchanan, who claimed to be, and as he was, an American journalist and politician, who was outright just as guilty in the Nixon era, where he was a post assistant and speechwriter for Mr. Nixon. He also outright ran for the Republican Party and was criticized for his attempts to broker peace in the world when he saw the undue influence of Israel on U.S. foreign policy. Yeah, like we don't have enough problems with Israel going on right now with Palestine? Yeah, He also decried the feminist and homosexual rights movement and was adamantly opposed to abortion. So there we go. We're bringing back things from the old days, from the 1990s, even then before that, when he first started off in 1985 with Ronald Nixon. He ended up in the Republican Party, but he fell through and failed through with voters because of his right-wing idealization, mercantilist, nativist, and populist. And some Republicans even emphasized he was a free market economics, for example, questioning his credentials, that he was even a true conservative. So the whole battle over this thing with conservatism stems from even people who were even in this party going back, way back to the 1980s. And even when he was born, 1938, that's from the silent generation, if you don't know that. That's Pat Buchanan, even though he's still alive. He's old now, but the ideology from Project 2025 stems from that. I will post a link in the description so you guys can read this, and even Trump's website. Please do your research, people. Please. We need to start supporting grassroots movements that support the free and independent structure of good news and true source, and people fighting for the cause, for a better structure of government, not dismantling our government, not dismantling the places that fight for us. Even the Environmental Protection Agency is worried. So how are you going to feel when Donald Trump rolls back EPA rules and laws? Because that's also a topic of discussion that I've seen that the EPA is worried about what Trump might do to them, to help businesses, help big corporations, help big money, as he's already going to be giving bigger tax cuts to them. Now, I haven't finished my very late dinner. I'm going to the Tijuana Flats. I just ate a very small but yet sad formation of lunch around 10 o'clock. It was really late, about 9, 10. And after watching this episode with John Oliver, I am adamantly passionate that this backs up my claims, that John Oliver covered a wonderful piece that you guys should watch. If you don't take from what I'm saying now, trust me on this. Last week tonight with John Oliver, season 11, episode 15. You guys have a chance to educate yourself on stuff, and I've just given you some helpful tidbit information on two people that are shockingly disturbing, that Pat Buchanan, way before the Donald Trump presidency, had already predicted Project 2025, and this dates back all the way back to 2011, way before Trump even became president, way before he was even involved in politics. Pat Buchanan already knew about Project 2025. Project 2025 is conservative, fear-mongering, division policy to completely reformat government to only work for the conservatives and only the ideologies of those who think they are a higher, more elite class, who are better than everybody else and can tell you what you should be able to do. Get yourself informed, get yourself understanding that this is truly the problem going on right now with the MAGA people. And it's not all of them, but it's the majority of those. And if you're not a part of this MAGA people and you're not in that extremist group, you need to get on board with the rest of the country. Join the independents, join the Republicans, bring back their party, bring back the free equal disputes and call it the constructive battling of arguments and disagreements. That's what America politics used to be. Now it's about extremism, ideologies of far right, far left. And right now the far right is attacking the left because the left has already come out to expose themselves. Even me, I can admit that, hey, I am who I am. But you know what? Their exposure doesn't prove that they're not for kids. They're not for future. They're not for America. They're just being who they are, and they're just fighting for their own right and their freedom, because the independent, the low The people who don't have a voice are trying to fight this through groups that they thought they could get more motivation with many people who can agree that they're liberals. They'll fight their cause. They'll donate to them. But you know what? That's not enough, guys. Liberals, that's not enough. You need to jump on board with an independent who's not for Jim Crow laws. Like me, a modern day, everyday, as I've come to find out, apparently I'm not even I'm not even a millennial. I'm a Gen X. And I'm fighting for you guys. I'm fighting for millennials. I'm fighting for Gen X. I'm fighting for everybody. Silent generation, baby boomers. Silent generation comes, again, before the baby boomers, but it doesn't matter. And Gen Alpha, Gen Z, which is before Gen Alpha. I'm fighting for you guys. I want you guys to fight with me. I want you guys to get on board with me. Drop this liberal nonsense. Not that you can't have your voice and fight for your rights, but we could do it with actual cause and effect of literal modern day principles to fight and unify together. I implore you guys, join with me, join in, let's have discussions, let's engage, let's write things down, let's get it done, because Donald Trump and his cabinet is all about loyalism and extremism on the fundamentals of the causes that they're fighting for. I don't think Trump's the mastermind because he can't think past his own sense of what he can devise, but the people behind him, the people that fund these, date all the way back to people like I just said. And as I did this, learning from John Oliver's information, because he does a wonderful job. Thank you, John Oliver. Another shout out to you, because Pat Buchanan, I wouldn't even have known about this guy. And the other guy, George Wallace. And Pat Buchanan is much more troubling and concerning, but at least he had the decency to outright admit it, since the hypocrite Democratic shame that he was a Democrat was all for Jim Crow laws. And you know another disturbing thing I learned about George Wallace in the end of his piece? He was always outcried for being a racist, but he always denounced these things. And the most disturbing thing that he believed, that it was a shameful disgrace, and he compared African Americans, black people, like they were, how does it put in the bottom of this article here? He demonized them to saying that essentially he felt that they were effectively he thought that African Americans and white people getting together was disgusting in his eyes. The mixture of blood was impure, or in that matter, thought it was disgraceful to see that kind of growth of interracial connecting in our communities. That's a factor right there. So what do you think that sounds like? Does that not sound racist to you? Maybe back then the people couldn't prove it, but today we can. So the whole thing, like, let's not go back, let's not go forward. No, it's about holding accountability. And we look at what's current today with who's doing what they're doing. If something they're doing or something they're about to impose, something that they're standing for, goes back to a date and time, and we have to hold those accountable, then that's okay. But it's not about demonizing, marginalizing, and blasting things to the past and dredging of things of the past. Yes, it is important to hold back those fact checks on those things that people are doing now, but the most important thing is holding accountable to the people and what they're doing and what they plan to do. And Donald Trump and his cabinet, we're going to hold them accountable, everybody. This is not a polarization of anti-Trump. This is about non-working, functioning government that is working against the interests of the common American people, that does not represent the whole of America. So liberals, the Republicans, independents, liberals, again, libertarians, if you're out there, libertarians. And you know what's really disturbing about what I just witnessed? The guy, George Wallace, and or the other guy I mentioned, which I just read, Pat Buchanan, they were actually, I think it was Pat Buchanan, he was a part of the limited government. I think it was him who was a part of the limited government, working for Nixon. That's how he got his foundation behind. But, you know, him being an independent, that's what made him stood out, because he was an independent. That's why he had the conflicts with him. No, maybe that was Pat Buchanan. That's actually what makes it even more disturbing. It was Pat Buchanan, not him. Let me make the correction. George Wallace was the one who was a part of the independent party candidate. And it's a wonder why the independent party hasn't been able to get any votes off the ground. You had disgraceful racist people like George Wallace who believed in Jim Crow laws and thought that, oh yeah, this statement here from 1963 inaugural address, he stood for segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever, declaring his very controversial statement there. That was what he said. And he was also a big supporter of Jim Crow laws, and he opposed desegregation. So, you know, there's a problem right there, all right? He's not racist, but yeah, big problem. And he also, he did not like the idea of the intermix of African Americans, black people, and white people. So there's a problem right there. And that guy was independent, and thankfully, you know, not to say that I'm glad he's no longer alive, but he's not alive. I mean, I'm just glad that these people aren't alive, but their policies and their ideologies are still spreading. And now we got people modern day today, new age people spreading these scary and disturbing ideologies, just like normalizing Nazism, normalizing, the bigotry and the hate and the segregation and the division. We cannot normalize division in this country. There is no reason for it. There is no cause to be working backwards on our own foundations of principles of what makes this country so amazing. It's the indifferences of all the unique people in this country. I make that correction. It is the unique indifferences of all the multiple different cultures and ethnicities of people working together in this country to make this country great, who contribute to it. And anybody not working for those, then we're going to get on top of those subjects when they come to them. But right now it comes down to the highest principle of the office in the land, and we need to answer for that. We need to hold that accountable. We need to step up, and I'm encouraging everybody to get involved. Thank you for watching. Mcluvin News signing out. Please take this seriously, because our oceans, our children, and the children in the present right now depend on you, because without the present there is no future. Thank you for watching. Mcluvin News signing out.